right, here's the main page. Okay, cool. Now this is, if you look at the web address, this has now gotten off of COCC's site. It's into what they call the sandbox server. A few of us use this. I don't know if you guys know Bruce Emerson, Jim Ellis, I think Bill Hoppe uses it. A few of us use this because we think it's 1996 and we still code our stuff in HTML. And this allows us to do it without having to wrestle with the server that the school uses. So it does look a little bit dated, but it's also pretty simplistic and it gets the job done. So anyway, this is, if you will, you guys usually, I'm assuming, get handed something on the first day, like a stack of papers that are stapled together. This is kind of that stack. And I want to kind of wander through that today with you guys, especially those of you guys that haven't had me before, because some of the stuff's going to seem a little weird at first. You'll get used to it as the days go on, but at first it might seem a little bit strange. So I want to go through the schedule page first, that first link up there. Take a peek at this. So what this does is it, can we kill the lights? Actually, I probably can do it up here. Ooh.
Hello. Ambiance.
Hello. Well, I'm happier. Anyway, so you got ambiance. That's great. We got all the weeks clickable up top that'll take you down through. Now, this might make you a little motion sick. I'm going to scroll down really quickly. This is the whole term listed out. Now, I'm going to scroll back up real quick. I'm seeing some knowing nods like, yes, yes, I remember this Technicolor vomit show from last time. I try to put everything you need on this page so that you don't have to go anywhere else. That's kind of the reason I do it. I'm going to use the yellow and the red to get your attention, just like McDonald's and Burger King do with their signs. Boom! You ever wonder why they're yellow and red? It's because it gets you attention, makes you notice it. Green and blue calm you down, yellow and red get you agitated. So, interesting statistical study in that one too. Anyway, we'll get into this in a moment, and we'll get into that in a few days when it's relevant. But let me just take a look at week one to kind of let you see what things look like. Now, across the top, we're going to have administrative stuff, tutoring schedules. Did you guys know you can, I'm guessing you did, you can download and keep on your own machines Office 2013 as long as you're a student at COCC? Some of you did know that. If you didn't know that, you can, as long as you're a COCC student. I just found this out last term, I think, maybe 2 terms ago. There's a link there for you to figure out how to do that, how to download the software. As long as you're a COCC student, they keep that login and I guess you use it somehow. So, in case you want to get that, I try to put that kind of stuff in the bar under the week's header. So the yellow week header, week 1, and then the red underneath the bar telling you interesting stuff. Whether it's drop deadlines, whether it's midterm reports, whether it's, I'll have you guys do some evaluations at the end of the quarter, stuff like that. Stuff like that. So I put that in red. And then you drop down further, and now you're into the class area where you guys pull your stuff from. Now, it's Math 105, the 2 Math 243s, and then you guys are over here. Hopefully you didn't show up yesterday, because that's Monday. And this is where it gets a little weird. A calendar usually has the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday across the top. Mine's rotated 90 degrees. It's to keep all 4 classes in one place, and it's also because I haven't found any slick academic software that lets me do this any better than I already do it. So as soon as if anybody has any suggestions, Google Calendar is about the closest, but it still can't do everything I need it to do. So if anybody has any other ideas, shoot them to me. I'll touch it up. This is what we did yesterday in 105 and 243. I'm going to scroll down now. And here's what we're going to be doing today in this class. So what I've done, this is a little bit different when you guys had me before. I started looking back at the old schedules I made you guys suffer through in my last class, and I realized, I'm like, man, some of that is hard to process. There's just text, text, text. It's all the same. It's not separated at all. Something's due, but it's kind of hard to tell what. So I tried to break it down by things that are due on a given day, what we did in class together on a given day. This will be linked eventually once I upload these videos and put them on YouTube. That'll turn into a hyperlink. I don't know if you noticed that in the other classes right there. They're linked from yesterday. So if you click on that, it takes you out to, should take you out to YouTube. Yep, first day of class, Math 243, and then it's just in a playlist form with no audio. No audio. I'll figure that out later. Anyway, the audio works. And then finally, other resources, something else I didn't have on the old schedule page. Anything I can think of to drop in there that might help you learn whatever we were talking about that day. So rather than just have, on the old schedule page, there was a big red box when something was due. This way I can kind of point to exactly what's due, what we did together, the videos from class, and then something else. Hopefully that helps. I realized how confusing it was. I mean, you guys got used to it, but I also realized we could make it smoother off the bat if we did it this way. So this is what we're doing today. I'll hyperlink those later. And then this is something I just found a couple days ago, and I thought that you might get a kick out of it because it actually helps you understand the news media much, much better, which is something we're all about in this class and also in 243. If you scroll down again, this is Wednesday's class. There is a quiz due. We'll talk more about quizzes momentarily. Nothing, what we did together, nothing there yet, because we didn't do anything. This is the only day in the entire term I know exactly what we're going to do. That's it. The other days are, I kind of have a ballpark, but the further I get from the present day I'm standing in, the less I know. And if you've had me before, you know why. Why is that? If you had me in class before. What inevitably happens?
Project.
Well, that's one thing, absolutely. Projects can happen, they do happen, 4 of them actually will
Tangents,
happen.
distractions.
Tangents, distractions, but not even, I don't want distractions to seem like a bad thing, a very, very good thing, right? Sometimes a lesson that I think takes 2 days will end up taking 1.5, sometimes it'll take 3. So rather than trying to plug in what we're going to be doing on every day and then rushing or slowing down to get through that, I'd rather just let the course kind of show itself. I don't know exactly how much time we're going to have in a little bit to run this activity that I spilled cards all over my closet for, but it might carry into the next class. And if that's the case, I don't want to assume I'm going to get all to it today and then have to redo this. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. If you're concerned about what we're going to be doing in the course, I can appease you right now. This extra practice link up here, which we'll come back to time and time again today. If you click on that bad boy, this is what Math 244 is, topic by topic. We had a similar one in Math 243, you might remember. It's even more concise in Math 244. It's even more concise, much more repetition. Hypothesis testing, hypothesis testing, hypothesis testing, testing. You're going to see themes arise in 244 that weren't there in 243. 243 was more wide open. There were great connections, as you learned, but it's also much more tightly concise here. So you have estimating, and then you've got hypothesis testing. Very, very, very concise course. Those are the topics. Those, as the course goes on, will be fit into these cells. And we might not get to every one of those topics. We did in 243, if you had me in 243 in the past couple of terms, we did. We might not get to all of these for a number of reasons. First of all, I will not rush to get to these last few. That's stupid. I'd rather have you understand these better than all of it kind of halfway, number one. Number two, I just realized we now sit on OSU's calendar. So we used to have an 11-week fall term, we now have a 10-week fall term, which is not the biggest. I mean, whatever, for you guys it's great, it's one less week to come to class. But we also have Veterans Day and Thanksgiving, which eradicates a Tuesday and a Thursday, which means we have a 9-week term. And I was talking to my colleagues about this at other schools that also changed their calendar. Like, oh, now we got to speed everything up to fit it in. And I'm like, ooh, that just hurts to hear that. Or you just start here and get as far as you get and trust that we've given you enough tools that if you need this later in life, you'll be able to figure it out, which is kind of my methodology. I'd rather learn that stuff better. So I think we will. We'll see what we get to. I haven't gotten to that topic in at least 3 years, and that's okay. It's totally fine. This one is about 50%. We generally get up through goodness of fit testing, and that's a fun one. It's a super fun one. You'll see why later on. So that's our course, if you will. And I want to start clicking these links, but not right now. I want to come back to them. So that's the extra practice. And depending on how long ago you had me, that used to be called homework. I want to talk about why I changed the name momentarily as well. So here's all your due dates. They're all going to be, I try to make the things that are due the font red. So at least that pops out and grabs your attention like it used to back in the olden days of last term, the term before. But then you've got some weeks there's only a quiz due. You'll see why that is. Sometimes you have those magical projects, as Ali mentioned earlier. And then you have these things called exams, and we'll get into what all these things are momentarily. Now we're down to week 5. So I encourage you, oops, we'll come back to that. I encourage you to explore this between now and next class, and we'll chit-chat more about that as we need to. Any questions you guys have right now? Right now. Anything trouble you? If you had me before, anything trouble you with the new format?